Welcome to the Market Genius AI podcast. This is our Rev Tech edition of the show, where we showcase go-to-market tools and discuss trends, strategies, and development with leaders of those tools.
In this episode, our guest is Gil Harel, the CEO of Clearitty. It's a pleasure to have you on.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, super excited to have you and learn a little bit more about what Clearitty is doing and your background. So let's just kick off with the elevator pitch for Clearitty.
Sure. Clearitty, we like to call it almost like a Swiss knife solution for sales teams. We provide help and solution all the way from prospecting, so helping companies choose the right companies to sell to. We take a lot of parameters into the conclusion. And then from there, once you understand and know which companies to sell to, we help you find the right people to talk to. So who is the decision makers, the champions, the sponsor that you need to talk to in order to sell your product to that specific department. And once you are within the deal, we'll help you navigate through the deal. Because it's all based on human knowledge, we have people who have already closed deals and sold deals to those companies. Through analyzing that information, we provide you answers about how to prepare for a demo, and how does legal work, and how does procurement, and how long is the sales cycle, and many, many other questions that salespeople have throughout the sales cycle. So that's what Clearitty does.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn a little bit more. I work for an ABM platform that's much more focused on the ad side than the sales intelligence side. So I'm always curious about the new tools coming out. From stalking your LinkedIn, it looks like you were predominantly in the hospitality tech space.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the switch over to Clearitty and why you started it.
Yeah, so I'll tell you an interesting story, how the idea of Clearitty came to life, and a little bit about my background. So I've done for many years travel tech. Started working at Expedia after I graduated from my MBA at Cornell, and I helped build the company and then left and had my own startup in the mobile dining space. And then the last role I did in Silicon Valley, I was number 3 in a company called Gogobot, which we were building the next TripAdvisor. And we ended up selling the company to Skyscanner, a deal that I led from start to finish. But throughout my career, I've always done sales, biz development, whether it's in travel or in other areas. So that pain that I experienced, I wanted to share with other folks and try to find a solution. And my epiphany moment was when I was sitting in a conference. There was this big shot CEO on stage doing a fire chat, and he was bragging how their company is so innovative and how they're tech savvy. And I was in the middle of doing a negotiation to strike a deal with them, and I knew it was completely the opposite. So everything that he said was wrong. And I told myself, we should have a mirror to actually showcase what's really happening, not just for the vendors, but also for salespeople and business development people. So that's kind of how the idea of Clearitty came to life. I parked it. I didn't do anything with it. And then when I moved back to Israel and I got bored, I started thinking about this problem again. And eventually we built a company around it. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cool story.
It's always good to solve a problem that you're very personally aware of and have dealt with. And so you guys you started in 2022. It doesn't look like you've taken on a ton of capital. Kind of where are you in terms of that journey and size of company and whatnot?
Sure. So I think we took our time. The first year, we haven't raised any capital. We were just researching, trying to see that actually we're solving a real problem. So we talked to a bunch of salespeople and CEOs and just trying to find out, that we're onto something. And once we were ready and we had enough information, and I went to raise capital. So that was beginning of 2024. That's what we actually raised our first pre-seed round, so altogether we raised a little bit more than $3 million. And we want this to take us to round A. We just started to sell our product last month. It's going okay. It's going well. So the first year we spent building the infrastructure and building, it's a data play. It takes time until you basically can gather enough information, enough data that you provide value to your customers. And that's what we were doing. And also we build a robust system that knows how to reach out to salespeople and collect this information, the human knowledge that we talked about in scale. And so that's what we've done in the first year. And now the product is ready to actually sell it.
Yeah. So, and you probably got the benefit of AI advancing quite a bit from 2022 to 2024 as well.
Absolutely. So when we started,
Yeah.
we were starting to play with AI tools, but today it's baked into every product that we have. It actually helped us to jump from covering maybe 200, 300 companies to now cover thousands of companies with the algorithm that we've built based on the human knowledge, but we also add to that external data sets. And also with a small team, we were just 6 people, that's it. And even with the funds that we've raised, we just closed another safe. I'm not planning to hire anyone new. I think we can do it with that team until we get to round A.
Yeah, it's like the new world of startups, right? Like you can operate with a lot less people because of tools like yours and the AI capabilities
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So you just started going to market. Is it most founder-led sales, or what does the go-to-market strategy look like?
On purpose, it's more founders-led sales. I have someone who's helping me also with growth and reach out, but it's mostly on us and on me to do that. And we are using our network as well, but we also wanted to build an infrastructure where we can actually build and reach out in scale. So through LinkedIn and other channels, and basically, build our brand awareness and through influencers and things like that, we're getting inbound as well. But at the beginning, yeah, we're the one doing the sales.
Are you using your own tool, eating your own dog food, if
Yeah,
you
we
will?
call it, absolutely, we call it Clearitty for Clearitty. Works well. We use it to find the right prospects. I'll show you once we do the actual demo, there's the whole, through the onboarding process, you define precisely what product you're selling, to which department, etc. And according to that, it really kind of narrows down, the companies that are fit for you. And then from there, the stakeholders you need to speak to. And then once you're within the deal, all the information you need to know.
Yeah. And so what have you found in the first few months of ECP for you? Who are you targeting? What size company? I'm assuming mostly tech companies,
Yeah.
but would love to hear a little bit more.
We just started last month, so we're still figuring it out. I think for us, we're mostly suitable for small to mid-sized companies. The real big companies, they come with a lot of requests and they want integrations. And even though our tool can help them, we're not ready yet to support it. And where like with smaller teams, our tool can really replace different other tools that they are paying a lot of money for. But also it's even, like myself, even if it's like founder-led sales, they can actually use the tool and it will save them time and you can use it.
Yeah, that's awesome. A lot of the tools out there, whether it's Sixth Sense, Demand Base, Apollo's done a little bit of the SMB, but a lot of them have moved up market towards the enterprise. And I think there's some real white space to solve the needs of smaller companies that don't need all the bells and whistles and that come with a hefty cost. But I'm sure as you build out the product, you can go up market a little bit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The beauty about this, it's slow touch. We do one demo, and we don't have to do a demo. You can just log in and figure it out yourself, and then you're ready to use it.
Well, then let's see this. I want to see the product. Do we want to jump into the demo?
Yeah, let's do it. So I'll go first to settings because it's important to, and I'm not doing the onboarding, but imagine you've done the onboarding. We ask you several questions, and then within the settings, you actually see what I put in. So we want to know to which departments you're selling to. So in this case, you're selling to finance, legal, and purchasing. Who is your buying persona? And by the way, you don't have to fill it out, but if you fill it out, then the whole information becomes more precise. So in this case, it's a procurement product. They're more focusing on chief procurement officer, senior procurement officer, etc. You can put your employer or not, and then what is the kind of product you're selling. Once you do that, we know exactly what you're doing and what you're selling and who do you want to sell to. And then the discovery starts. Here you can go and basically choose the list of companies that you want to follow. And you can slice and dice it by company size, industry, headquarters, revenue rate, and etc. We're working on a new feature that was being requested by several customers. We actually help them build the list because you'll see once we're inside, we provide a deal opportunity score. That's a score that tells you how open is the buyer today to buy your product. They want us to actually, with that tool, help them build the list and do the work for them. So that's something we're working on that will be ready in a week or so. But let's say I already chose several companies, and these are the companies. I'll go to Airbnb. It's a company that I'm following. The first thing I provide you is a deal opportunity score, which basically tells you a score from 0 to 100. How open is Uber today to buy your product? Again, it's taking into account you're selling a procurement solution and to which department you're selling. So we take into account buying intent. Is Uber today searching for similar tools or your tool on the web? In this case, they are. We track signals, whether the departments you're targeting, are they increasing, are they shrinking? That gives you a signal if you have a chance or there's an open to sell. If it's increasing, then obviously there might be a need for new software. We also track if a key position person has moved, whether they joined the company or left, that also makes an impact. We track tech stack, all is baked into the actual number. And we even analyze and track 10K to see if through the strategy of the company, there is a need for a product like yours. So that's kind of the deal opportunity score that gives you, okay, now I have a chance. This company is open to buy the company. And obviously, we also look into competition. The next step is stakeholders. So we map basically, depending on the departments, again, that you're selling to, who is a persona you need to speak to, who is the champion, the sponsor, the decision maker. We even provide you a number, a score, like which is the best person to talk to. If you're selling to a finance department, so in this case, Helen got the highest score, that's the champion, and it's specifically for that person is related to the product you're selling. Once I click on that person, I can get basically an analysis of her character. We call it the DISC analysis, and you'll have tips here of do's and don'ts and how you should approach that person. You can obviously get an email address and a phone number, and we even help you compose an email that is based on the character of Helen, the product you're selling, and also we take into account people who have already engaged with Helen and share how was it to work with her. That's kind of the human knowledge that we provide. And so all of that is within the product that we are providing. By the way, feel free to ask any questions you have.
I already have a question.
Sure.
Where are you getting all this intent data? And you've mentioned human knowledge. What does that actually look like?
Yeah, so it's a combination of external data sets and human knowledge. So for example, the intent data on the web is based on external data sets. But if we know, for example, that a contract is about to end, or we have information about Helen because people have already dealt with Helen and they sold to her, that's the human knowledge that we have. And as we move within the deal, the more human knowledge is based on. Does that make sense?
Okay. So people using your platform and the knowledge that you've gained from those specific deals.
Right.
Okay.
And people who have already sold to Uber, they map the actual stakeholders. They tell me who is a champion, who is a sponsor, who is a decision maker. Once we move to the timeline, that's where we start to analyzing the deal if you're already into the process. And that's something that is very unique to Clearitty. I don't know any other company who does it because it's based on people who have already closed deals with Uber. So the first thing we do is we provide you an analysis. How long does it take to sell to Airbnb? Is it a process of 6 months or 10 months? In this case, it's 10.5 months. And we analyze the initial approach. What works well? Is it inbound or outbound? Deal winning factors. For example, we provide you information about the champion lengths of service, how many demos on average you needed to prepare or show in order to close the deal. We give you information about POC if it's required or not. So that's part of the actual initial approach. We even analyze legal. Did you need your paperwork or the buyer paperwork? That's something that always salespeople want to know. How long the legal process takes. We analyze the procurement stage as well. And then closing the deal is really we analyze the actual transaction. In which quarter usually the buyer buys the software and how is it split to multi-year and 1 year, number of competitors that were on the shortlist, the median annual contract value. All of that is super valuable for salespeople to strategize and prepare for that deal. So for example, if you know that mostly they close deals on Q4, you want to prepare and do all the work before so you're able to be ready and close the deal. You want to be already in the legal part and not just pitching the demo because that will take you time. And all of that I showed you is backed by a deal copilot AI. So you can really kind of dig down and read this information, or you can basically, use our tool to provide you answers. And it could be what are the critical milestones in the deals, we'll provide information, or you can ask any open question, like, for example, how should I prepare for the demo? Or who should be in the demo as well? That's something as well that we can provide. So the idea of the Copilot is basically, that's your, almost like we call it the cheat sheet. Any question that you have within the process, we'll try to provide you information. So I asked about, what are the critical milestones in the deals? Gives me a summary here, and I can ask more and more questions. Make sense?
Yeah.
And then from there, we go to analyze insights. So insights really provides you all kinds of key deal trends. And executive insights, it's really tips from people who've actually closed deals with Uber. What are the things that worked and didn't work? And you can filter it and narrow it down by topics. 10K, what I showed you before within the deal score, it's a more thorough analysis of the 10K. And that's how basically you get the information about the companies. Another way to basically search for people that you want to reach out to is through contacts. And that's kind of a similar tool to what you see with Lucia or Apollo, but customers are asked for this as well. What's unique about us, that once you find information about someone, we also provide you the persona analysis and all the information that I showed to you. So this case, I chose Uber as a company. It will show me the people that I need to speak to. And then, for example, I want to get more information about Liam. I have the character analysis. I'll get the email address, and I can reach out to composing an email. And the Deal Copilot I already showed to you. So that's another way to interact with our data, basically with the companies that you chose to. So that's kind of what Clearitty does. So as you saw, it's all the way from helping you choose the companies to actually closing the deal.
So I have a few questions. So first of all, how did you come up with the conclusion that the 10K should be a source of information? That's quite unusual. And I know that a lot of sellers, they just simply have no idea how to read the 10K.
Yeah. So when I met really good salespeople, that's
Uh-huh.
what they do. They go into the 10K and they analyze it, because through the 10K, you understand the strategy of the company, where they're putting the money on, and that's basically their guide, their Bible for the next year or two and beyond. So great salespeople, that's what we do. The other problem is that salespeople sometimes are lazy, or they don't have the time to actually go and read 100 and something pages of reports. So we do the work for them. And we already, through AI and through the algorithm that we've built, we take out only the necessary information that is relevant for the product they're selling and for the departments that they're targeting. So if you're selling a procurement product, you don't care about what's happening in HR unless it relates to what you're selling. But if it's not, forget about it. I'm already doing the work for you. So this as itself is something that salespeople would love to use, but it's part of other things that we do.
And your AI is going to go in and basically scrape that and pull out the insights?
Yeah. This is exactly the example I told you about, like how we combine the two things together.
So of course, this is available only for publicly traded companies. Are you planning to supplement any other financial information on the private held companies?
We are. It's harder to find because this is public information, but that's part of what we're planning to do, is to find all other angles that we can find, either like the
Pitch
search the
books
web
or
information, and public information and press releases and all of that to analyze, where the company is going.
Super interesting, and I'm fascinated by the fact that you started to embrace the financial information or selling process, because I agree with you. If you can really dig in, you will see where the company goes, right? Like if we had this surge in a lot of tech companies talking about the capex months ago. I mean, of course, there's enough buzz in the news, so you can pick it up. But start digging in, you actually understand why. Eventually, who you should be talking to. Back to your timeline app that you shared. So that's a lot of information, and I'm pretty sure you're getting that question a lot, like how accurate this information is.
It is not 100%, right? Because this is something that is based on human knowledge
and probabilities and yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but we make sure that we don't upload this information unless we have enough people who have already closed deals with Uber, and specifically for every department. So you might go to a company and we only going to have one department. It means that we've already collected enough information about that department. Other departments, we're not there yet. So we won't show it to you because the integrity of the data is super important for us. But it's once you collect enough, it gives you a whole story of what's happening. And by the way, even one person who have just sold now to Uber, and it's the same departments you're trying to sell to, gives you a lot of information from zero because you now have no knowledge, and now you have someone who just closed a deal with them. So, but in general, we make sure that we have enough threshold of information before we actually showcase the data.
It's kind of like a data co-op of this, at least timeline data. I'm curious. I mean, I think for SMBs, I mean, even mid-market, they're going to be okay with that. I'm curious if you've had any, I know it's been early days, but like pushback around sharing that knowledge with other potential competitors.
I must say, not a lot.
Okay.
You'll be surprised. First of all, because it's anonymous.
Yeah, of course.
And it's anonymized. So I was surprised to see, people filling out questionnaires from companies that I would never dream that they would do it. And they would do it in like bulk. They
Wow.
would go and like do one after another. First of all, I think because for the first time, they have a stage where they can actually share success stories. And once I spoke to a CEO and he said to me, we just closed a great deal and we have no place to tell the world about it. And our salespeople are like with their chest up and they have no way to brag. And I feel like with today's salespeople and the new generation, they are used to share information. They're used to live in social media and they move around, right? They're like working for this company for 2 years and then they're moving to another one. So the loyalty is,
Low.
you said that. But we feel like for us, it's just a matter of scale, but people do it.
Yeah, and you're speaking to sales, as you mentioned, salespeople love to brag. So giving them a platform where they get to do it,
Right.
I think it's a really interesting take. And I don't know of any other, sales intelligence tools that have taken that approach.
Yeah, and for us, we emphasize on the, we're part of the sales community. If we all join together and share this information,
We'll all be
we'll feel
better.
on the product. Everybody will use and enjoy it. It's like the early days of Glassdoor. They've done the same thing with HR. Now you have Blind, which is like Glassdoor on steroids. But at the beginning when Glassdoor started, wow, this was completely innovative.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you see the market changing the sales productivity tools going forward? So you mentioned at the beginning that you're running a very lean organization. We also see a confirmation that a lot of other companies, in the age of AI, are following the same pattern. So where you think that the sales productivity tools will actually take us kind of with the next stage? Like, do you have idea what's going?
I think we are in the early days of that revolution of AI. And it's almost like, we might be old enough to remember like location-based, how companies were built around location-based services. And now it's like, it's just part of the product, it's just, it's there and you can use it. Where in the beginning you had companies who showed you on mobile, things like that. So I think we're in the early days of understanding how AI is going to impact sales. I think also what we're seeing is that those companies who are saying that with AI you can completely replace SDR, we're not there yet. I mean, AI helps you to be more efficient, saves you time, and it saved us time, but with our tool, which is also based on AI, you can save a lot of times, but it's not replacing human knowledge and experience and all of that. But definitely with a smaller team, you can do much more today. I mean, you see now companies who are building products when there's no really engineer within the team. They're using AI to write the code. And so that's also something that is developing, and we'll see how this goes. On one hand, it gives you more opportunity to build faster. On the second hand is more people can do it. So which means that you have more competition. So we'll see who's going to rise.
Yeah, and I think that's why the data backing is so important, right? Because that ultimately is the user interface, the Copilot, like it's becoming kind of table stakes. And so how do you differentiate in this world? And I think you nailed it the way with AI and thinking about copilots. It's a cheat sheet. I think that's the perfect way to describe it. It doesn't replace a human, but it lets the human work faster and focus on other things.
Right. Another thing is that companies who are basically using the same data sets, they're just manipulating it differently. So in our case, our data is based on knowledge. That's something you can replace and you can duplicate. And it's, I think, an advantage compared to other companies where everybody's using that source. You're just making a change to that or building a feature on top of it. But that's something also as we move forward and AI is taking more and more of things, you want to make sure where the data is coming from.
Right now, AI is slowly but surely recycling the same data over and over and over again. Unless you have more human input that's specific and unique to your platform, then, I mean, anyone can build something that pulls information off LinkedIn and ZoomInfo and the other like intent data sources. So that insider knowledge that you're anchoring the product on is very unique.
And I think the challenge for sales teams is that there's a lot of noise out there and there's a lot of companies offering things, and to try to find the right tool for you, it's not an easy task. There's a lot of options and you need to know who has reliable data, who doesn't. That's something I think it's kind of a challenge for a sales team these days.
Yeah, so considering all of this, we just said about the trend and the kind of the size of the teams, where do you think the product will go?
I think there's several things, and this is just, we know what we want to build. It's based on customers' requests. One is help them build the list. You don't want to do the work. So if you have all this information, give me those 100 companies that I should reach out first. And we know how to do it. We have that information. We just need to make a product out of it. So that's what we're working on. That's one thing. The other thing is, and we knew this will come, is integrations. They want to see our platform integrated into CRM or Gong and other platforms. So we will do that as well. We have several design partners that are waiting in line for that. And the third thing is taking Clearitty and making it more like an action plan. So I have all this information. We call it plan of attack. So I have all this information. Here's that cheat sheet of 1 to 10 steps that you need to do in order to close that deal with Uber or Airbnb, etc. So that's kind of our roadmap.
Yeah, you've built a very strong foundation. It's now like, how do you connect it into all the other tools salespeople and marketing teams use? I went to your website and I was like digging for I'm a partnerships person, so I'm always like looking, I'm like, what partners are they connected to? And as you're going through the product, I'm like, oh, this could be the place where salespeople live, right? Like they learn about the deal. It's a better, cleaner, more informative interface than Salesforce or HubSpot or Microsoft Dynamics. And then if you can connect the actions to it of AI dialer and you could build that yourself too, email tools, like all of that kind of stuff, I think it adds, I think it's going to be very cool. So I'm excited to see how you tackle integrations. How are you thinking about it? Like, what do you do first? Because
I tell you, it's a dilemma because people are so excited about the product. They keep asking for more things to build on top of Clearitty. So the question is, are we becoming a platform, or they ask for sequences, they're asking for this, asking for that? Because my role as a CEO is to make sure we still stay focused and we choose the right things to focus on in the beginning, and then we move on.
Yeah, as a head of partnerships, everyone's like, we should do this integration. And I'm like, we totally should. How do we prioritize that with all of the other integrations? And so I think there's, you're going to have a lot of build partner decisions and have to figure out like where and when do you do that. How do you kind of think about that from a high level of the build partner discussion? And
I just had a request from one of the biggest companies in sales. I won't mention the name. Who want to do integration with us where we are going to power the human knowledge that we have on their platform. And I haven't made a decision yet if I will do it or not, just because I think, first of all, it will take the focus of like a really small team and they'll have a lot of requests. And two, I don't know yet like how this should play around. And maybe, Lisa, you can help me.
Well, it's your secret sauce, right? But it's also very valuable, and so
I
it's
get
thinking about it.
distribution, right? I get distribution.
Yeah.
So that's what I get, and maybe great revenue share model. But on the other hand, that's my secret sauce. Maybe I want to keep it within me and not share it for now.
Yeah.
You know,
It's good validation, I think, of like, okay, we have something special here. And now it's just figuring out what are the steps from there and how you go about building and monetizing what you've created.
I mean, I agree with you on the dilemma, right? Like you want to have a clarity when it comes to your strategy and focus area, especially when you're developing the product. But you mentioned something interesting, and I want to dwell a little bit on this. That you're getting a lot of these requests about the features and stuff from your prospects or customers. Do you think that that's because a lot of sales organizations started to realize that they have to become more productive? And there's a certain element of productivity competition right now. Like,
Yeah.
who's going to be more competitive? Who's going to be more efficient? Who's going to actually figure out that secret sauce and combination of different tools that will help me to, instead of having two opportunities per month, I'm going to have a 4, 6, or multiple of that. Do you think there's something coming from that?
Absolutely. I mean, look, we know the stats are showing that only 30% of the time salespeople spend on actually selling. The rest is research, CRM management, all of that, fun stuff. And they know they have to close deals. That's how they're judged, right? That's how they're going to get the quota and their bonus and help the company grow. So I think, yes, they're looking for that tools and they immediately get it. Like they see, wow, you have the best tool to generate an email, but can you do sequences so I can send the first email, the second, and what I created within your platform, can I save it somewhere like in my CRM or other platforms? So we understand that. And that's part of the, being efficient and more productive. And definitely you see how other companies are pushing to that direction, right? Apollo and Lucia and other companies are trying to provide like this full solution. Gong.
So everyone is talking about this. You mentioned also SDRs, and I want to ask you this because I'm hearing the opinions that they're contradicting. Right? You mentioned that we are not ready with the SDR, be fully autonomous. If that is the case, I just want to understand why you think that that is the case. And the second question I have for you is, do you think that SDR by the end of the year could become fully autonomous? Or this is a more question of 2 years or 3 years from now?
First of all, the precise answer will be 2-3 years from now. I think they'll be much more efficient, and maybe you will have to hire less SDR that you need before, because one SDR with all the tools that they have, say Clearitty and other tools, they can do much more. But it doesn't mean you will completely replace an SDR. And it's similar maybe in a way to what happened in travel. People said that the internet will completely replace the travel agent. It's not. Travel agent has a place, right? Because once you're starting to plan a more complicated trip, you have a lot of requests to change, you need flexibility. There's things that internet cannot solve, and you do need a travel agent, and they're not gone. There's less of them, but they still exist because there's still a need for that. So I think the market will have to kind of find out what's the balance between still having an SDR with that human experience and that human common sense, and the AI tools that will help them be more efficient. But I don't think it's going to completely replace them.
I still use a travel agent and I love it because they find the things that aren't the most popular, but like very cool to that region. And I just don't want to spend the time doing it, which is a luxury I have, but it's a lot of time still to do all the research. So,
My God, I haven't used a travel agent in years.
Well, because if you're flying to Rome, that's easy. You need a hotel, but if I was a few years ago, I went to Colombia with a friend, and we didn't know anything about Colombia. We found someone who's expert in Colombia, and he really planned us an amazing trip. And it's not something I could do online. And he really knows the inside in of Colombia. So I think, again, it depends what your needs are.
yeah, like South Africa, I used, but she's also a good friend of mine. So, that's the benefit of it. But that's a really good analogy. I'm curious, you're talking about like the balance of it. We think about like, oh, yeah, it's great. It can do everything for you. What are the challenges that you've found in using AI in your product, and how do you balance, oh, this should be done by the human versus, oh, AI could probably do this?
I think the first challenge is AI takes time until it provides an answer back. We need that, and then we need to push that answer to our customers. And so that time that it takes, it's something that sometimes customers are frustrated with. So that's one challenge, and how you overcome it. There's ways to overcome it, but how you overcome it. And the second thing is sometimes it's like a black hole. You put something inside, you don't know what's going to come out, and every time it changes and things like that. So that's something until you train the system, that's also a challenge. But it's something that I think everybody is dealing with. And the third thing is that how reliable it is. Like, can you really trust the data? Because sometimes it makes up things. So
Yeah, the data out is only as good as the data in and the algorithm. So a lot of trial and error. I'm like getting more deeper and deeper in AI. I'm really excited about some of the agentic AI and the ability for them to talk between platforms. Anthropic's model context protocol. I sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I'm learning it all. The Copilot stuff to me has always been like, oh, this is cool, but that's getting me very excited about innovation. I'm wondering if there's anything emerging in AI or tech in general that you're really excited about and you think is going to really change how businesses
I'm
operate.
excited about building a product with not knowing a code. And you see companies that emerged from even one person who's selling now in like more than $1 million ARR and maybe 3 people and things like that. So I'm excited to see where that takes. Is there a limit to that? Or basically, eventually you can build anything with just telling the machine what to do. So I'm excited about that. And that's maybe the thing that really fascinates me.
Lowering the barrier to entry for startups, which is upsides and downsides. Like, I think a lot of people have great ideas, but maybe don't have the technical knowledge. And then a lot of people have fine ideas and those are going to hit the market too. But yeah, the market will manage that to some degree.
Right. And again, like if it builds the same product to everybody and same design, how differentiate yourself. So that's interesting to see.
There's a reason why there's so many MBA students that are picking the product specialization, or the people just trying to study product development, because I think in this AI era that is about to come, because we are at the beginning, like you said, that will be a norm. Like, you have to be a product manager while you're doing a lot of other things.
Yeah.
It's almost like being a co-founder for the last 10 years and not doing the founder-led sales. Now, I think you're getting an additional hat into your skill set. You have to be a product developer, product manager.
If you're a one person show, yeah, for sure. And you can do it. I mean, if you have a good idea and a good product.
But I think there's always a protocol, right? Like, I think people are missing that structure, because if you're coming from finance, you might not necessarily thinking the same terms. I have a few product managers friends, and I'm talking to them more often recently, and I realized that it was not intentional, but it just happened. So that's kind of my thought on this. But digging a little bit deeper on the technology. So you're using specific AI technologies. I mean, I started to observe a growing group of tools that are behind LLMs or helping to maintain the infrastructure. Okay, there are tools that are helping you with RAG, right? Like, there's plenty of other categories that didn't exist before, and that market is just expanding in each of these areas. So do you using any specific configuration? I'm not asking you to share the whole secret sauce here, but of course, your input here will be helpful for our audience.
First of all, I'm not. I have like other co-founder is a CTO and dealing with that.
Yeah.
So I'm not. What we do is we try to find the best AI solution specifically for our need. If it's something that is related to generating what we do with the deal opportunity score and it has a special need that we need, we'll use one option. So it could be a ChatGPT, and then it could be Claude, and then it could be other tools that Gemini, other tools that we use. And yeah, each one has different, strengths compared to others. And I think there's no one tool does everything the best. And that's how we try to approach it. And it takes time to really test it and understand, and sometimes we do it like We do something in ChatGPT, we throw it to Claude, and then we throw it to other one, and like that's how you get the best solution.
Use
interesting.
multiple in the process. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of tools have built on top of, say, like OpenAI, and that's what they do. And so I think that's a unique approach to really think about, okay, this one writes the best email versus this one does the best propensity scoring and so forth.
Yeah.
Using 3 tools, that might be expensive.
Yeah. So there's a lot of programs for startups here in Israel.
Oh,
It gives you a lot of free credits.
all right. Okay. So that's your angle. But yes, we were discussing this separately with Lizzie on other occasion. We're talking about how to really use all these tools simultaneously. And we just came, hey, damn, this is going to be expensive if you want to do it. Right.
You got to move to Israel.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'd love to hear if there's any other companies that you're really excited about right now that are doing cool things, whether in the sales intelligence world or tools that you guys are using internally or whatever it may be.
I'm always fascinated by PLG companies who are really able to do it. And Polo came out of nowhere. And you had already companies doing what they did. And still they were able to really catch fire and really grow with the PLG product. And I've done it before with Gogobot and other companies, but it's always like there's a lot of science, but there's also a lot of art. And you never know exactly what's going to work. So that's something that I've looked at that company. And KeyPlay, if you guys know them.
No.
They're a company who helps you build a smart list of prospects. So you answer several questions. They try to understand who you are and what you're selling to. It's also in our area, but they did a pretty good job of trying then building a list with a score and telling you, okay, this is the 50 companies you need to reach out to. It's very straightforward what they do. I think they've done a neat job doing it.
Very cool. Yeah, there's been a few of those EGL companies, and Clay's another one. And it's nice to have. I feel like there was kind of a little bit of a drought of that in B2B tech.
Because Clay is also in the last few months, everybody's talking about Clay. Everybody.
Can't not hear about Clay.
Yeah. And everybody's like, okay, if everybody's using it, I might use it. And then they realize it's pretty complicated.
Oh, yeah.
If you go to, right, there's a lot of integrations and there's a lot of, and in order to set it up, you need someone who is expert in setting up Clay. So that's something a lot of companies don't know.
Yeah, I think for the same reason they coined another type of role in go-to-market. They're calling this go-to-market engineer.
Yeah.
And I was wondering why that is the case. And I'm like, it has to be complicated if they call something engineering because it requires solution, right? That's what the engineers are for.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's aligned with your point.
Do you have top 3 tips that you want to share with us on any topic of your choosing?
So one other thing is, I think any great salesperson, he needs to rely on reliable data. And the more data you have, the more research you do about your prospect, the more chances is that you're going to be able to close that deal. So before that, just understanding if this is the right customer for you. Then once you pass that part, understanding who you need to speak to. Don't waste your time if you're talking to the wrong person. See how the business culture works on that side. So the more information you get, the more prepared you are. And make sure that you are using a reliable database that you can trust. In our case, it's the human thing that we think it's the most reliable, but you can choose any other data sets. I think that's kind of something that we're looking into. And then listen to your customer. At first, when we launched, we had an alpha in place. It was more a PLG product that we had. And only when we really sat down in front of customers and really understand their needs, that's where we really push forward and advance our product. So always listen to your customer. And because a lot of people, salespeople, immediately they pitch their solution. They don't even know if that person actually needs their solution. So first of all, listen, do the discoveries, make sure that they actually, what are the needs? And then according to that, try to pitch your solution. That's kind of my tips.
I love it. The way I always say that is act like your customer is a partner, not someone you're selling to. How are you going to work together? So great. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on. Loved learning a little bit more about Clearitty and how you guys are approaching AI. And hopefully we'll have you back when you guys are huge.
Absolutely. and hopefully it will be short enough time.
Yeah. 6 months. 6 months. We'll have you back.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank
you,
you,
guys.
Gil.
Thank you.
Okay.